Hey guys, thanks for tuning back into the channel. I've got a blank xTool document open right now, and I'm going to go over this main menu tab on the top left corner of an xTool Studio document. So there's so many different options that you can use as a seasoned xTool creator that it really can help make your projects go faster, because there's so many different hotkeys and shortcuts that you can use to really ramp up production. So if you can figure out these shortcuts, it can really make you streamline your engraving process. So some of them are going to be pretty easy, and I'm not going to go over them a whole lot because you guys probably already know, but a lot of them you might not, and there's going to be some cool features that you'll learn along the way. So let's get started. So starting here with the first caret key is the file option. So it gives you a lot of different options here. You can create a new project. If you click that, see, it just opens up a new untitled document here on xTool Studio. This is great if you have multiple projects that you want to do under the same xTool file. Next up is Open Projects. This will allow you to open up your documents and then find an xTool file that you can use and insert into your engraving. So I save a lot of xTool Studio files on my computer, and then when I need them later, I can just open them up quickly. After that, we've got the Import button. So that's going to open back up your documents and allow you to put an image into your xTool document. So xTool Studios allows you to do a number of different file types, such as JPEG, PNG, SVG files, DXF files, just multiple different ones that you can use, pretty much any file or image format that you would need to insert your image onto this blank document. After that is the close button, Control W. You probably can figure out what that'll do. It just closes the current project that you have opened. Next up is Save and Save As. Obviously, you can save these files as XCS files on your local drive and then pull them up whenever you need to. So that's a good thing about it, is you don't really have to have Wi-Fi to work on these files. Next up, if you have some different versions of a project, you can open up a version history and see what all you've done in the past. Then right after that, you can rename your project. So that's something that you might want to do pretty quickly so you can remember where you save it and what you save it as. If you click that, it will just allow you to rename. Then next, you can export your projects. Once you click that, it gives you different file formats: xTool Studios, xTool Creative Space, SVG, PNG, or JPEG files. And once you click those, it'll give you the DPI that you want to use, and then which canvases that you have. If you have multiple canvases, click confirm, and then it'll help you save your project to a local file. So that's pretty neat there, and that's something that's new on xTool Studio versus xTool Creative Space. And lastly, here you can publish on Atom, and that allows you to upload your current xTool Studio project onto Atom, which is one of xTool's platforms that allows a bunch of creators to come together and share projects with each other. So that's really cool. Atom is a project platform that xTool Studio works with, where you can download your projects here and let other creators see them, and you can all work together. So it's really a community-driven platform where you can get some great ideas and some project help. So after the File tab, we've got the Edit tab. You guys probably know what undo and redo allows you to do, but just for your information, Control Z and Control Shift Z allows you to undo and redo using hotkeys rather than having to come to the file folder. Then copy, paste, cut, delete. Those are all pretty self-explanatory. Just some more tools that allows you to create your xTool project a lot quicker. Then the last one here on the Edit tool is Select All. If you click that, notice how it selects all the images on your project. Then you can backspace and get rid of them. Okay, going down from the Edit key down to the Arrange button. So notice here there's a lot of different items that you can click on here, but right now none of them are able to be clicked until you select an image on your project. So I've selected my image. Now look at all these that I can click. So start off with Bring to Front or Send to Back. This is pretty self-explanatory, but if you've clicked on an image here and you want to bring it to the front, if you notice, if I try to slide it within the image that's on the project, it's behind the image. So if I want to bring that to the front, I can go to my menu here, click Arrange, and Bring to Front. And notice here it's in front of the image that's behind it. Same way as send backwards or bring to front. Bringing to the front or sending to the back brings it all the way to the front or all the way to the back. Sending backwards or bringing forwards just moves it up one layer. So now we can look at some of these options where you can align your project. So if I align left, notice it sends it to the left. Or align top, notice it sends it to the top. Kind of like a chessboard. It's just moving it where you tell it to on your blank project. So pretty easy stuff there. But notice these keys that you can use to help you remember that. The next option here, you have to have 3 or more images, but you can distribute horizontally or distribute vertically. I'll be honest, I don't really know how this works, but if you click on it, you notice how it moves one of your images a little bit. I don't really see how that helps that much, but it just arranges your image a little bit different. So I'm not sure what the use case for that is. Maybe you guys can leave it down in the comments. And then after that, pretty cool one that's very useful is reflecting. So obviously it reflects all of your images either horizontally or vertically. Okay, that's all of the arrange function, and you can see there's a lot of different hotkeys that you can use along the way. So now we've got the object key. Okay, grouping is a very important one. So notice here if I'm trying to select all the images and I just select one, it does it as one singular image. Instead, what I can do is select all of them, come up to the top, object group, and then when I select one, it's going to select them all. So anything you do with one, it's going to do with all of them. And that's something that's very important if you've got multiple images here and you want to just move something ever so slightly that moves multiple images. So I use this a lot when making pretty complex projects. Then I can ungroup as well. Alright, moving on down the list. This is a really cool one here because there's some really neat tools in the Objects tab that can really help you make your projects great. So here, this mask tool, I've got an image of a Corvette here on my project and I can create a mask for it. This is one that people don't really know about. So if I got this image and I want to create a star in front of the image, now watch this. I click done. Now the Corvette is within that star. So this would be really cool if you're making a project and need an outline on the outside of the project to then put your engraving inside. Then you can create an offset, and this pretty much just creates a border around the outside of the image. Once you click confirm, you can do an inner offset or an external offset or both. Once you click confirm, notice here there's kind of like a frame around the image. You can cut around this frame, score it, engrave it. But one thing I like to do when making projects is I'll make an offset around it, cut the offset, and then engrave the inside. So that's really cool there. Then we can delete duplicate objects. So if you got multiples of the same image, you can delete them using this button. Next comes some really cool tools to help you master xTool Studio. You can cut out your image. There's 2 different options here, a manual cutout and an AI cutout. A lot of times I like to use a manual cutout, and I use this as a background editor. So it's called the magic wand. If you've got a background, you can click on it, and a lot of times it removes it. You might need to help it out a little bit. As you can see, it's messed up sometimes. But if you have a really dark image with a white background, this is really great to use to remove that white background. Or you can use AI to cut it out. Going back to the manual cutout, if it cuts it out pretty decent, this one didn't do too good of a job, but you can use the eraser tool to erase little parts of it as well. So I want to cancel that since that didn't turn out too good. But strong dark lines are always good for any engraving. You can AI expand your image. This just allows you to make your image bigger using AI. You can replace your image using AI. This one's pretty neat. You can see kind of here in the picture if you want to replace the image with something. So if I wanted to turn the tires into bricks, I could do that pretty easily using AI. But the problem is anytime you use AI, it requires credits. So I don't like to do it too much. The magic eraser is real similar to AI replace, except it allows you to remove an image. So if I wanted to remove the logo on the car, I could highlight it and then remove it. But again, it requires credits. Trace feature allows you to trace along the outside of the image. See here it's doing auto tracing, and you can see it's kind of traced around some of the dark lines on the image. Click save, and here you go. You've got 2 different images one of the actual image, and then one of the traced outline. I want to bring in a different image here so you can kind of see how it works a little bit better. So I inserted a different image so you guys can see how some of these tools work a little bit better. So for the trace feature, I can click on it and it traces along the lines of the image. So see how it's got a small mark over the lines. If I click save, now I've got the traced outline of the image and then the actual image. So this is a pretty cool feature if you've got dark lines like this image above. We've got the filter button, and it allows you to just filter your image, obviously, like it says. So here's the original. We can make it a grid, a sketch, so on and so forth, halftone, just different image features to allow you to engrave better. I had an image one time where I couldn't get it to engrave just how I wanted to as a normal image, so I turned it to one of these filters, and then when it engraved on wood, it actually looked really good. I believe it was this halftone filter actually, because it was so light of an image, it was able to darken it up and get the final product how I wanted it. Then you can adjust your image. This just allows you to change some of the image features, makes it sharper, changes the saturation, change the brightness. I mean, you can see temperature. If you've got a phone, you've probably played around with the image tools on your phone, and that's what this does here on xTool Studio. Next, AI Enhance just enhances your photo using artificial intelligence, which uses credits. Lastly, here on this set, we can crop the image. And you know, with the crop, you can just drag the corners to make it smaller, or just to crop one little part of the image out. Click Save. The last few image options here, I had to include some vector images. And for this bootling, this is really neat. So if you've got two images and see how they kind of cross over each other, I can click Union and notice how it makes it one image. So this is really neat if you're trying to compound some images together or some vectors to then make a really neat project. Other options there as well as intersect. Where they were intersected, it made that its own image. And click Edit Nodes. And then the ends of them, that's what we call a node, kind of the crossing point where the image turns. I can select one of them and just move it however I want to edit my image. Pretty neat feature. I've never really used it, but if you ever needed to just edit your vector graphic, it'd be pretty cool. Then click Done. That's a pretty wonky shape. Two images selected again. We can come down and compound the two images and create a compound vector. Now we should be able to edit the nodes on both images because it's now one large vector. And we can release that compound as well. Lastly, here on the Objects tab is the Join Selected Paths. And I'll be honest, it took me a few minutes to actually figure out how to use this feature, but it's actually pretty neat. So let's say I have an image here, and if I select the image and edit it and remove one of the lines, click Done, I then still got it selected. I can come up to the top here, come to Object, Join Selected Paths, and I want to join with a line. So then when I click the distance, after I get to the correct distance, it will create a line that adjoins the two nodes of the vector. So if you've got an image that's not fully closed in and you need to join the paths, this would be a really good option for that, so you can get a good outline on the outside of your engraving. Then click OK, and you notice you've got a full image there. Okay, that's all of the object tools. Now we can start with text. So I'm going to add some quick text. I've got it selected. Now I can come to the menu tool and change the size of the text, change the actual text case from original or uppercase. So if I need it all to be uppercase or lowercase. Next, you've got some different alignment tools where you can change your text orientation from left to right or right to left, or change the alignment of your text, whether it's left, middle, or right. Text welding, and this was a little hard to find a text font that I could use this on, but see here in the corner of the H and the E how it overlaps, if I weld the text, it makes it one full image. If you've got like cursive writing or some type of wording where it all runs together, weld tool may be very important for you. Then you convert your text into a path, and what this does is it changes your text into a vector path, which allows you to edit each note a little bit further. Not something I've ever really used before. I can split the text, so right now it's one word. If I hit split text, I can click each individual letter. So here's H-E-O. So move it around however I need to. Then if I convert my text to a path, then I can attach the text to that path if I do that, or detach it from the path. I don't really know exactly what those do. I've never had to use them. But if anybody knows, just help me out in the comments. Okay, next up is some viewing options. You can change your grid from a medium to a dark grid or a light grid, just depending on what's best for your project needs. And then you can change your canvas color as well. So if you like a light or a dark canvas, and then you can hide the grids too if you need to. So if you just want a blank project space. Lastly here, there's a help button that just takes you to xTool support, and you can ask different questions in here, kind of like you were on Google, to find some different support from xTool users. Just about done here. You can find all your hotkeys or shortcuts using this hotkeys tab. And there's just so many different options and hotkeys that you can look and choose from. A lot of them we've talked about, but it really just familiarizing yourself with each of these hotkeys. You can use the user guide, and this will pretty much start like you're just opening xTool Studio, and it will show you what each little button does. You can click through it just like a tutorial. And lastly is your setting options. Now there's a lot of different options within your setting. You can change your unit from millimeters to inches. You can change the language. You can view your hotkeys. You can edit your actual canvas, such as auto snapping, which allows you to align your projects with other projects. So if you've got two images right on top of each other that you want right in the middle of your canvas, you can use your auto snapping to figure out exactly where the middle is. You can change your vector path, display vector fill, use dark canvases. I can go into all these in another video, but just a couple more things here. You can change your pressure unit on your device. You can change your firmware, just stuff that I really don't ever mess with because I don't want to mess up the original default setting that xTool gives me. But one thing I do use a lot is software updates. Make sure that your xTool Studio is up to date with the newest version and software available to make sure that you have all the bells and whistles that you need to make the perfect project. Anytime you're starting something big, I would try to software update before you get into it very deep, just cause you never know what new versions may be available. So it looks like I've even got a new version that I need to update. So anytime you're doing something, just be sure to update before you start a big project. Okay, that's pretty much all I've got for you guys today, just going over that menu tab on the top left corner. Here is a image from xTool that kind of shows a lot of the different image options and file options within that menu button. But some of them are a little bit different because there's been some updates since this was made. But as you can see, there's a whole lot of different objects that you can use to help make your engravings awesome. And if you figure out how to use some of these, it can really help the final product to turn out exactly how you want it to be. If you would, please like and subscribe to my channel so I can make some more great content in the future. And if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. So thank you guys for watching this video. I know it was a long one, but hopefully you learned a little bit throughout the way. And happy engraving!